All right, here's something that's sure to change your perception of me. I haven't posted on my main channel since well before Christmas, in part because I've spent a considerable amount of time placing advantaged sports bets. This has been a weird development to people close to me because 1, I don't watch sports, 2, I'm super risk averse, and 3, I'm very vocally opposed to sports betting apps. So let me back up and address something that not everybody really understands. Can you be good at gambling? Yes, as evident by pro poker players, pro card counters, and pro sports bettors. The reason why those are really the only examples is that it's all in the concept of expected value, or EV. There's no such thing as a pro craps player because you can't get positive EV in craps. The closest you can come to a professional slots player is to become a slots influencer, but at that point, the money comes from sponsorships and AdSense and undisclosed free roll money from casinos who are happy to pay for your normalization of high-risk activities. I know that gambling is inherently evil is a pretty popular take right now, but my specific stance is a little bit looser. If you can't calculate EV, you should not gamble more than you're happy to lose. If you don't know what EV is, you shouldn't gamble a single dollar on anything. I also want to quickly state that if you feel like listening to me talking about gambling might influence you to gamble in any way, to any degree, you should skip this video. The purpose of posting this is strictly to illustrate some real paradigm-shifting discoveries I made during the last month. Plus, a lot of this won't make sense to someone who can't, for example, read odds. Anyway, the target audience of this monologue is someone who runs the risk of falling into the mobile sports betting trap. Unfortunately, right now, that's a pretty big audience. I bet you know somebody you want to send this to already. Okay, to any viewer who still remains, let this be the big bombshell. Good sports betting is not a measure of sports knowledge. It is a measure of pricing knowledge. Whenever I heard urban myths about successful sports bettors, it was always a story like, yeah, I saw this guy who tracked the menstrual cycle of all the WNBA players and then bet the under according to which team was likely on their period. That is how we imagine someone with an edge, but a real edge is made by understanding the disparity in odds across different books. Here are 10 sports books showing their odds for which team is going to win the game. The teams are made up. The sport is made up. This is for an imaginary sport called gumball. Your total and complete lack of knowledge about the rules, players, and trends has zero impact on the fact that there is one good bet to be made here. If you're playing poker against one other player and you have pocket aces pre-flop, you should be willing to bet all of your chips on those cards. That's because you have a roughly 80% chance of winning, regardless of what the other guy has. 20% of the time you will lose, but you need to understand that going all in is a positive EV move, even if you don't win. Placing a bet on this gumball team is going to yield positive expected value by the nature of the fact that no matter how long of a long shot it is, you could place the bet 10 billion times and then win more than all of these algorithms determined that you should. The best bet I ever placed was on some random Illinois college basketball game that was so inconsequential that it wasn't aired on any sports network. MGM offered a bet on UIC winning the game at plus 3,400 odds. That means a $100 bet would win $3,400. That was a mistake. Seconds later, they adjusted those odds to something like plus 150. But I had already effectively bought the bet at a discount. Imagine somebody said, give me $100 and I'll roll a D20 and then give you $300 if it lands on anything but a 1. That is a positive EV bet. You might lose, but the thing about having a positive EV is that you can do nothing but place hundreds of positive EV bets every day and thus operate like a casino, winning some, losing some, but statistically making like 5% profit over millions of bets. But that still involves risk, and you'd have to maintain a bankroll healthy enough to withstand long periods of big losses. And so, alternatively, you can hedge the bet for a guaranteed win no matter the outcome. The payout will be less because you have to use a portion of it to fund the hedge, but it's a win-win scenario. In the Illinois example, I had a choice between letting the game play out to either lose 100 or win 3,400, or place a bet on that team losing and then get like $900 no matter what. When you place a bet on both sides for a guaranteed win, that's called arbitrage. I'm going to call arbitrage bets ARBs as shorthand. A funny thing about ARBs is that they work wonders on new customer promos. Anytime you see a sportsbook ad, it's like, join now for $1,500 in free bonus bets. And if you know how to place both sides of an outcome, you can reliably turn those bonus bets into real withdrawable cash. Hopefully you get how all this works now. In total, I joined like 10 sportsbooks, churned their promo offers and placed like 6 arbs a day. If that's all that happened, I'd probably have just cashed out and gone on my merry way without making a video. But through talking about it with friends and people like my wife's coworkers, some really interesting conversations took place. Here are some popular reactions. 1. That must be really hard. Actually, it's disconcertingly easy. I thought you'd need to be a pretty smart person, or at least be prepared to live the lifestyle of a day trader, but no, you can pay like $75 a month for access to automated software that tells you what to bet on, and if you're at your desk, you can have your bets for the day placed in like 90 seconds. That's crazy. Someone this bad at math shouldn't be able to serve quant. Think about how hard it is to be a card counter in blackjack. That's a lot of work and studying for like a 2% edge compared to signing up for an app that gives you a 10 to 15% edge instantly. It's like being able to download karate into your brain. 2, okay, can you just tell me what to bet on then? No, you have to act very quickly. I can't take a screenshot of a bet and then share it with all my friends because it's usually a matter of getting an alert of a pricing error, placing the bet as quickly as possible before it gets corrected, and hopefully being able to do all that in a matter of seconds. 3, that sounds like a lot of work. No way. Paying attention to 100 games to place a stupid long shot parlay sounds like hard work. When I did this, I didn't have to think, analyze. I almost never even watched the games. 4, well, okay, at least admit that it takes all of the excitement out of it. Absolutely not. My excitement came from seeing a good deal pop up, not from spending 2 hours wringing my hands over the number of rebounds a player might get. 5, okay, then why not just take all of your money out of your retirement accounts and then do this at scale? Even though arbitrage-enabling websites like to make this claim, it's not a risk-free activity. You can make a human error. You can have one bet voided for any reason, and then suddenly your arb that nets $50 could turn into a $500 loss. 6, this one always frustrated me. People would say, okay, but you have to bet a lot to win a little. Like, bro, you bet $20,000 on FanDuel last year and lost $2,000. Wouldn't you rather win a little than lose? If you asked me how much I would put into an investment that yields 5% daily compounding ROI guaranteed, I'd say, hot dog, that's too good to be true. As we've already discussed, it is too good to be true, but I bring this up to illustrate a mismatch in expectations. All of these conversations were so interesting to me because they make apparent that when people gamble, winning isn't really what they're after. They want the rush, the risk, the rare chance to win life-changing money, or the validation that they know the most about sports. But I really hope people can get this. It's not about sports knowledge. It's about pricing knowledge. I've explained this whole thing to certain friends and they still don't get it. They'll text me on the weekends like, hey bro, what does your AI thingy say about the Suns' chances of beating the spread tonight? So much predatory advertising relies on this misunderstanding. This Eric Andre ad where he literally embodies the nagging addictive itch to place a bet based on a hunch. This social sidebar right on the homepage where people share their expert analysis with spreadsheets and past game data. None of it matters if you don't consider pricing. Look at this clip where 2 people are speculating on the NCAA championship. Jamie Vernon says, my team will win the championship. Shane Gillis says, nuh-uh, my team will. And Joe Rogan says, both of you guys should place a bet on it at 1-to-1 odds. That's an unbelievably stupid bet. If you know how pricing works and understand EV, you know that it makes zero sense outside of posturing how confident someone might be in their underdog. I don't know anything about Dana White, save for the fact that he owns the UFC and is heralded as a famously good blackjack player. But I looked up his playstyle and it's deranged, embarrassing, childish, based in superstition. These examples suggest to me that obscuring the one way to get an edge is how you get young men to place stupid bets.
Split shit you're not supposed to split. Double on shit you're not.
Take hits you're not supposed to hit.
You try to fuck up the shoe.
Okay.
Any way you possibly can.
DraftKings is testing out a monthly subscription where you can buy better odds, but just on the bet types that are most profitable for DraftKings. There is no shame levied at those who are truly stupid gamblers. Why does DraftKings serve its users with hot tips from local experts right on the homepage? Isn't that going to cut into their profits? But sportsbooks want to serve you smart info from smart guys with detailed spreadsheets and verifiable data because it ignores pricing. It doesn't matter if you have a supercomputer that proves beyond a doubt that the Chiefs have a 90% chance of winning if the bets are priced as if the Chiefs have a 91% chance at winning. The bet could be, will the coin at the start of the game land on heads or tails? And each outcome will be priced as if they each have a 65% chance of hitting. It's this total lack of pricing knowledge that lets these companies keep cranking the vig up, where a 50-50 coin flip isn't sold at plus 100 odds, not even minus 105 or minus 110, but minus 115. That is a 15% haircut off the top of millions and millions of bets per day, and it keeps getting higher unless we can societally get to a point where losing players are easily identified and labeled as such, it's going to be hard to stop this sports betting epidemic we're living through right now. And let me be explicit here. I think that what we are witnessing in real time right now is like Sackler family level harm done to our country's population, the effects of which will be felt for generations to come. Young men aren't doing well. We're lonely, our anxiety is high, our literacy is low, and falling into a gambling addiction is a strong indicator for financial ruin and early death. If you are not playing with an advantage, you are going to lose. And since the vast majority of bettors don't understand what an advantage really looks like, I'm deeply pessimistic about these trends. So, this is my new job, right? Or at least my side hustle. Why do any work when I could ramp up my bankroll to $10,000 a day, earn 5% compounding daily, and have a $200,000 annual income? Here's the kicker that makes sure that would never work. You will get banned very quickly from any sportsbook for advantaged gambling. Banned is shorthand. What they really do is limit your maximum bet size. My max bet size at bet365.com is $2. My max bet size at MGM is $8. I was limited the day after that plus 3,400 bet that I mentioned earlier. UIC won, by the way. When I started all this, I was mostly excited to earn a bunch of MGM rewards points so I would be a big baller on Vegas trips, but no, I will never earn a meaningful amount of points because I'd have to bet $8 a billion times this year to move up by one rewards tier. You don't even have to win to get limited. I got limited to $10 on Fanatics in just 6 bets, and all 6 of them lost. Sports bets have a closing line value, or CLV. If I got a good deal placing a bet at plus 150 and the CLV was minus 300, that means I beat the CLV. I bought the wager at a price that was better than the normal guy. And if you beat the CLV like 80% of the time, alarm bells are going to go off, like kick this guy out, he's doing something to get an edge. Another downside to advantage sports betting is that you will learn nothing applicable to real life. One reason why I spent 2 years studying poker was for the transferable skills, decision making with incomplete information, emotional regulation, quick EV calculations, and making friends. You will not make any friends staring at your PC for 2 hours a day making bets. I didn't learn a single thing about sports either, so even if I put a $500 ARB on Tyrese Maxey's rebound over under 10 times this season, I still couldn't tell you what team the fella's even on. My favorite bets were on Chinese sports because I could make one before bed and then wake up to $20. This era is over for me, forever. Even if a buddy was like, hey, can you do that thing for me and then use my identity and give me 50% of the winnings? I would have to decline. Not only is it against the terms of service, but think of the tax implications. If I won $1,000, you would get $500, and then next April come tax time, your identity is going to owe half of that in taxes for the winnings, leaving you with just $260. It doesn't make sense. The only time this skill might come back up is when my son turns 18. I would consider doing this for him since he could make enough money for his first car or something, and then I'd get to rest easy knowing he's banned from every sports book for life. Then again, there's an argument to be made for this act of limiting advantaged bettors being likely to push them into unregulated offshore gambling, but that's a whole other can of worms. I hope that you see why this has all been such a fascinating experience, but if I could single out one finding and pass it on to a big audience, it would be this. If you have a sports betting account that's more than a month old and still in good standing, you are a loser. This idea that most guys betting on sports every weekend are pretty much breaking even is wrong. Anyone can get lucky on a long shot, but as soon as you demonstrate the ability to get a real edge, the one that understands that odds pricing is the only thing that matters, you are kicked out for life. And now that my money is no good at any sportsbook with legal action in my state of residence, it's back to the kitchen for me.